Well, a couple of things. First of all, whose balls is he hiding in his cheeks?
Yeah.
That's the first question I want to know. And I don't love the way he says, fierce.
Yeah.
Bullshit is that? No, you don't, sir. We don't lie about military service we didn't actually perform, like going to war. We don't steal valor by saying that we had a higher rank in the National Guard. And my husband said he looks like Elmer Fudd. That's what he looks like, Elmer Fudd. Like there's some...
Picture this situation for a second. Tim Walz suddenly turns into the main focus of two powerful personalities. Megyn Kelly, the cold expert of harsh criticisms, and Tyrus, the unstoppable giant with a microphone that seems more like a weapon than equipment. Seeing them attack him together is like watching two skilled roasters join forces on a person who truly thought he had registered for a nice neighborhood baking contest instead of a comedy attack. You'll giggle, you'll feel uncomfortable, and by the moment they're finished, you might seriously question whether Walz should think about joining a witness protection system because the attacks arrive quickly, noisily, and without mercy. This isn't about politics anymore. This is straight-up comedy dressed in fancy suits, and it strikes harder than most late-night jokes ever managed to do.
Is deeply part of it. That's one of the, I think it goes, and you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement.
You fight it.
And well, this
I think I see most of their...
What he's mad about is his own fault. He's mad about the image that was portrayed of him as the hunter and who did that? You did that. We just laughed about it because the one thing you can't do is you can't front. You can't floss. Those are two key words when it comes to manhood. Can't pretend to be.
You absolutely won't want to skip this moment. So press that like button and subscribe because things become heated quickly. Before the discussion even started warming up, Tyrus didn't walk into the conversation casually. He rushed in like a former wrestler, spotting a completely full food table and running toward it with determination. And who was his focus? Not some anxious intern or beginner staff member. It was Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota himself. Walz probably started his day expecting a regular day in Midwestern politics. The type where you open a ceremony here, greet someone there, and maybe throw out a silly dad joke to maintain the atmosphere cheerful. But instead, he stepped straight into the verbal gunfire of Tyrus and Megyn Kelly, two skilled speakers who manage opinions the way cooks manage perfectly sharp knives, cutting straight through the situation and tossing him right into a complete roasting session.
To Tim Walz, who, just when you think no one's sitting at this table, neither she nor the big white blanket, can embarrass themselves any further, he does. She asks him, to her credit, about the carrying the weapons in war, which we know is a lie. He never served in war. He's been stealing valor for quite some time. And take a listen to this.
Said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. The campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing uniform.
You could basically hear Tim Walz's carefully prepared public reputation starting to fall apart in actual time. This is someone who attempts to show himself as the ideal combination of a serious governor and a nice small-town coach. The type of individual who yells encouragement from the edges while struggling with his own notebook, like it's attempting to run away from his grip. He's often shown as the normal, regular person who somehow ended up in the governor's office by chance, creating the feeling of somebody who simply wanted to assist, but wound up leading an entire state by surprise.
Yeah.
A teacher snatches the bully's ass up.
Yeah.
Come sit with me. That's why I know someone's bullying. Oh, you can sit with me for a while. And then I would lean on him. I'd bully him back. He's not a teacher. He's not a politician. He's a creepy guy who can't remember.
Tyrus wasn't accepting the picture Tim Walz attempted to show. Not for a moment. He explained it as having odd feelings wrapped in a cheesy covering. Almost like Walz appeared less like a governor and more like a backup gym instructor who somehow got lost into the incorrect gathering and began approving state spending by mistake. But Megyn Kelly wasn't there simply to crack jokes. She entered with the strength of someone who had been waiting all week for a weak excuse to break down in a trial room. She sliced through Walz's contradictions with the assurance of someone able to destroy a reputation while wearing fancy shoes, making her the exact surgical tool to Tyrus's heavy-hitting sledgehammer.
I should throw my grammars not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog.
This took chutzpah. Let's go through it. You said you carried weapons in war, but you've never deployed in a war zone. Campaign official of yours said you misspoke. Did you? Well, I'm proud, incredibly proud of my record. He keeps doing this. Equally proud of my service in the class. Did I mention I was a teacher and a coach, an assistant coach? Okay, whatever. But he's more stolen valor. In the classroom, I'm in the classroom. My record speaks for itself. It doesn't, actually. You've put a lot of lies into that record that you've been called out on by.
And unfortunate Tim Walz found himself appearing like someone boasting about getting a perfect score on a test, only to find out later that it was scored on a scale, and he barely succeeded or even didn't pass. But let's rewind for a second, because Tyrus and Megyn weren't roasting him without reason today. They handled him like a room temperature dinner that everyone continues acting tastes nicer than it actually does. So who precisely is this person, and why does he attract so much focus? Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is a politician, a previous football coach, and a former teacher. A background that appears relatable on a campaign sign, but sounds more like the starting scene of a comedy show about a coach who mistakenly becomes a senator. He has relied strongly on his ordinary guy image for years with cheesy remarks, small-town appeal, and countless flannel shirts as part of the package. But the issue shows up when the friendly picture encounters actual policy. Suddenly, the weak spots begin to appear. And in Walz's situation, those weak spots look like they were marked with a bold pen. His pandemic history only made matters tougher, as Tyrus thought it was funny, like seeing a coach instruct his players to move quicker without ever showing where the goal line truly is. A clear example of Walz giving strong words without obvious guidance.
Water in that White House, or was everyone on the same bad cocaine? But Kamala can't speak, he can't speak, Biden was so high he couldn't remember anything. Like, this is literally the dumbest administration of all time. Why is he talking?
It really is the ultimate clown show. And I said this in the pod. He's a clown without a circus.
He doesn't even need makeup.
He's roaming the terrain. Is there some carnival?
Then everything got bigger in his own state when the George Floyd protests happened, putting Minnesota at the middle of the planet's focus. This was Tim Walz's chance to stand up as a powerful leader. But instead, the public saw a governor move wildly between waiting too long and reacting too much, almost like a driver who hits the gas at a stoplight and then hits the brakes at a go light. It became instant political confusion that left individuals uncertain of what would occur next. And we can't forget Tyrus's thoughts on Walz's strategy to education either. Walz loves telling everyone that he's a teacher, the person in the classroom, the coach with feelings, the guy who worries about children. He leans completely into the tough coach with caring picture and moves around behaving like he's leading a team toward success, which makes the entire situation even more funny. Because when it's time to create actual choices, he pushes policies that leave individuals questioning whether he even studied his own game plan in the first place.
Clarify, as your campaign had tried to do, and now you appear to be distancing yourself from that clarification. And then here's two pieces of this that are really... I speak like they do. People are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I speak especially passionately about, and then he goes on to blame it on the school shootings. I guess he was upset about school shootings, so he lied. But stop saying you speak like we do. I speak like regular people.
Megyn Kelly didn't waste any time showing the problems in Tim Walz's ordinary guy picture, ripping it apart with sharp accuracy. She pointed out how he says he supports regular people, yet creates choices that hurt those same individuals the hardest. Almost like a lifeguard talking about rescuing swimmers while throwing them a heavy concrete block instead of a floating device. That's precisely why the double-team roast from Tyrus and Megyn hit with such power. They weren't just making fun of his policies. They were destroying the entire image he created. The catchphrases, the planned photo moments, the flannel shirts, and the nice smile act all start to crumble the second you examine a bit deeper. Fans say he's progressive, caring, and pushing Minnesota ahead. But the sparkle vanishes quickly when the spinning is removed. It's like purchasing a shiny new vehicle that appears amazing in the driveway, but stops working every other week, making you dial roadside assistance more frequently than you're truly driving it.
I feel bad for Elon. I would be furious if I was him. If this is who you sent to troll me?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong to get the guy from D Team to come out at Family Theater and call me names?
Yeah.
Like, Tim, I would, if they were like, oh, Tyrus, man, tough news cycle. Tim Walz has talked about you. I'd be like,
The most shocking part is that Tim Walz is no longer just a state figure. He's being promoted onto the national platform, with individuals even talking about him as a potential vice presidential choice. That means this roast wasn't just a laugh. It was a clear warning signal aimed directly at his increasing goals. How is he expected to manage the continuous pressure of a national race when Megyn Kelly's sharp accuracy and Tyrus's direct, heavy-hitting comedy already make him fight to remain balanced? Tyrus views him as someone attempting to appear strong without ever displaying a real achievement board, while Megyn considers him as a smooth salesperson advertising policies that don't work. With that in consideration, leading Little League might be a smarter long-term choice for Walz than pursuing the White House if two loud critics can rattle him this simply.
You in the audience. I watched him last night, and I thought he was amazing. He is a spectacular speaker. He had that rally in the palm of his hand. He's way more effective than she is or Joe Biden is. For the first time that I can remember, had like a feeling of fear rise up in my throat, because I know what he's permitting in Minnesota when it comes to children. Which, we talk about one of the defining issues of our time is the way we treat our animals, our livestock, the way we kill them.
Tyrus sees Tim Walz, who advertises himself as the coach of the citizens, as someone who might have trouble leading even a simple dodgeball team. In his opinion, the players would move in loops, the ball would remain untouched on the ground, and there would be lots of yelling, but totally no plan. Megyn Kelly went even deeper. She removed the layers and showed the areas where Walz claims strength yet displays weakness, and where he discusses caring but shows uncertainty instead. Take the result of the George Floyd tragedy, for instance. Minnesota required steady, sure leadership. But Walz often waited too long, responded slowly, or moved too much in the other direction, making more confusion in times when understanding was desperately required.
I want to fight him so bad. Why won't he just answer my tweets, my DMs, like just one arm? And I just want to slap the He's so weak. He brings nothing. If you were going to go after someone, man to man, hit him with a fact.
During important moments, Tim Walz moved back and forth so wildly that it seemed like he was attempting to make everyone happy while winding up pleasing nobody at all. He hurried to comfort one group, but appeared too worried to anger the other, making a situation where totally nobody left feeling satisfied. Megyn was totally correct when she stated that leadership created on attempting to please everybody eventually fails to please anybody. It's like a server bringing the incorrect salad with confidence, claiming it's precisely what you requested, yet still missing the rest of your food. Under Walz's control, businesses never understood whether they'd remain open the following day or be surprised by sudden rule modifications, especially after his uncertain handling of COVID in schools. The irony basically creates itself. The previous teacher who wished to make schools excellent instead saw performance fall, lesson arguments grow, and costs rise higher and higher. Even the people's coach couldn't succeed to maintain his own classroom arranged.
There was Oliver Wendell Holmes, and you can. I don't believe you're a lawyer, Governor Walz. You can yell fire in a crowded theater, and you can say hateful things, because this is the United States of America, and it's right there in Amendment number 1. It's one of our favorites, was one of the founders' favorites, and was one of the founding principles upon which this country was built. There's no exception for speech. Tim Walz or Kamala Harris magically deemed hateful But they've been pushing this, both of them, and a lot of Democrats have, for quite some time. These young Democrats on college campuses say that they believe that the Constitution doesn't protect hate speech.
Tim Walz's history doesn't appear impressive for someone who created his complete picture around being the teacher in charge. Megyn struck the point perfectly, describing how it reveals a lot about a leader when the exact quality they talk about becomes the spot where they have trouble the most. It's like a cook proudly talking about their restaurant achievement while mistakenly burning the soup right in front of everybody. Walz shows himself as the friendly regular guy coach, but the negative reaction becomes much stronger when the appeal and flannel don't equal the actual outcomes he produces. Tyrus explained it with strength. Walz is like a movie preview that guarantees big, exciting action, but winds up giving a slow, puzzling drama instead. And Megyn's alert rang clearly. If Walz has trouble managing Minnesota, how could he ever manage a national emergency? Advancing him would seem like placing the individual who destroyed the company picnic in control of the whole business as the next CEO.
Have anything. And here's the cold part. If Elon called him up and said, hey, Tim, you want a job? He would take it because that's what finalists, he would. And when he was questioned, he was like, I was just holding him in account. You know, I respect him and I'm so happy to be working for X. He is the worst player on their team, and they don't mind sending him out because
They're trying to get him off the table.
Yeah.
They're putting him out early so he can't be.
This situation isn't just about Tim Walz. It's about everything he stands for in current politics. To critics like Tyrus and Megyn, he represents a shiny, sellable person who concentrates heavily on picture but has trouble with steadiness, making him ideal for smooth campaign videos, but much less useful when it involves actual governing. Their takedown showed a political approach built more on image than achievements, revealing how the system behind him depends on slogans and looks instead of solid leadership. Fans hurried to protect him, naturally, but even they couldn't overlook the increasing list of issues that kept coming up. Meanwhile, Tyrus's direct honesty and Megyn's sharp accuracy made their comments into something almost funny, like watching a fighter stumble over his own shoelaces during a big fight.
Tim Walz, okay, Jen Psaki, she's a talking head, whatever, but Tim Walz was recently the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket. Maybe you would expect a little better, a little higher in terms of the rhetoric. You would be disappointed. Here is Sot 20.
In the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know. There will.
Look at him. So chipper. Don't worry. There will be news. In other words, Trump will die. Something to look.
You almost begin to feel a bit sorry for Tim Walz until you recall that he's the governor, and every choice he creates affects millions of individuals across the state. That's why the comedy strikes so strongly, because the risks are real, and the results reach much beyond a simple laugh. Can Walz bounce back from this? Or is he meant to be recalled as yet another over-promised politician who couldn't measure up to his own picture? For years, he presented himself as the friendly coach next door, leading a state with patience and feelings. But when Tyrus and Megyn destroyed that picture, it pulled back like old wallpaper losing its adhesive. Fans rushed ahead to protect his caring, his thoughts, and his small-town beliefs. Yet, the criticism made a mark that couldn't be dismissed.
So Levine, look, he has a sports coat and a zip-up sweater underneath. No man wears that.
Oh. I may have done that in the past.
Yes.
I won't now, Tyrus.
No, and one day somebody's going to explain what a corporate income tax is to these people. It's not paid by the corporation. It's not like a building that goes, I've got to pay taxes. It's the worker.
It turned incredibly simple for critics to highlight the uncertainty, the contradictions, and the long talks that never quite match truth. When a leader's history appears like a highlight video of waiting and unclear decisions, it becomes nearly impossible to persuade individuals that powerful leadership is occurring behind the scenes. And the issue reached much beyond Minnesota. Even as Tim Walz was being discussed as a growing national person, he accidentally became an illustration of what occurs when shiny image is prized more than actual content. Under deeper review, The coach became leader tail fell apart quicker than a folding seat breaking during a wrestling event, displaying just how weak the story truly was. Even though the picture might succeed in polished campaign videos, that's precisely why this takedown was so effective. It wasn't only fun, it showed facts that many had been hoping to see revealed.